Great Nigerians and our wonderful viewers, I am glad you are there watching your favorite television, The Living TV. Today we are back again on our wonderful program, Issues of the Moment. Issues of the Moment is a time we look at various current affairs as it concerns our country and various states in the country. In today's Issues of the Moment, what we are doing and what we'll be discussing today is also something you need to know. And not just about that, for those of you, if you don't have our decoder, our HD free to air decoder, you can tune to 90.9 Living Radio FM, 90.9, so that you can listen and hear us live directly as the program commences. And right now, today, in the Issues of the Moment, we'll be looking at a statement made by the national chairman of the Labour Party, Mr. Julius Aburi. And then in that statement, he also alleged that the APC is planning for a presidential rerun. Whatever how we come about that, we do not know. But as we look at it today, you'll understand better. Remember today, in the house, I have a wonderful analyst, Comrade Nnamdi Lekwachi. Comrade Nnamdi Lekwachi is a historian, not just a historian, he's a man who loves dealing with dates and numbers. Not just that, he is also a political affairs analyst and also a televangelist. Comrade Nnamdi, you're welcome to the program today.
Thank you for having me. It's always my pleasure to be here. Good day, viewers.
And that's as usual, I'm your command, Chinedu Godson Adiele. Right, having said that, I introduced the topic earlier before now. The national chairman of Labour Party had announced in an interview that the APC is planning for a rerun. Comrade,
yes.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think it was obvious too that Julius Aburi, the chairman of Labour Party, yes, also said that the rumors have it. I'm trying to put the actual words he used. And I think it was during a conversation they had, a virtual conversation with American community or members of the APC. So they were having this conversation, and then he said the camp of the APC or the ruling government, as it were, the camp was unsettled. That for that reason they had to begin planning for a rerun or for a repeat of the elections. That's it. I think yes, we are not yet to establish how he came about that or to preempt the court. But one thing is certain: we are dealing with an election that's my personal opinion, that does not even meet local standard, not to even talk of international standard, because we've seen the damning reports from the EU. And like I did say here sometime ago, I said when the EU will also submit their own report, we are talking about final report, not preliminary reports. Yes. Preliminary report is where they tell you that yes, this election happened as planned by INEC, and that Nigerians came out to vote. It may end there, and they will tell you the date. But final report is when they begin to calibrate, and then they will also begin to work with their findings and their report. Fields and sectors, because like I always say, elections do not happen in isolation; they are monitored. So for that very reason, you have people who invest in election in Nigeria. Let's forget about the EU. We also have American embassy. We also have Russian embassy. We also have Chinese embassy. You also have British High Commission, Canadian High Commission, Australian High Commission. You understand? All of us ought to do. We are also observers in one capacity or the other. So we know that the election, if you talk about the 2023 election, failed to meet the expected standard, especially the presidential election. So now, as it is happening, we are in a moment in our political history where we've never had such overwhelming evidences being tendered by the two litigants, that's the PDP and the Labour Party. Their evidences are overwhelming. In fact, too hard to dismiss that INEC to an extent, was making a caricature of itself. Imagine the commission that said that its ad hoc staff should not be interrogated or cross-examined. Imagine the commission that also said that beavers, its own materials, you understand, should not be presented before the court as an exhibit. Yeah, so it points to something that even INEC, it's having even initially released a statement where they said there was a glitch. You understand? INEC itself has now gone to court to defend what many believe to be a notion of illegality. So that said again, I think we are not here to preempt the court, but it could go either way. You understand? They can actually say no, the status quo continues. APC actually won, or no, either of the plaintiffs, yes, either of them actually won. You understand? Or can call for a rerun. The world is watching, and everybody is also watching. Everyone is on the line, so let's see what happens.
All right. Abure said this during an online meeting with the Nigerian American Coalition for Justice and Democracy, led by Professor Dio Paraji, the Labour Party chairman in diaspora in the United States, in Abuja. Just like you rightly mentioned, we don't want to assume that he's preempting the court, and this legal tussle has been on. And then, don't you think this could be a mere premonition, or maybe because of what they considered as an overwhelming evidence that they have presented?
Yes, I think at a point in that report, in that news, he said they believe that even if it gets to the Supreme Court, in this case now the Apex Court, that they believe that justice will be served. You understand? Yes, in their favor, because they have done everything, they have their evidences, they are overwhelming, they are hard to dismiss. You understand? So that said, he has confidence even in the judiciary. You understand? That the way they have so far handled the case showed that they are consistent and then unwavering, ensuring that justice administration is upheld. But there is something we also have to talk about. You see, I'm talking about this election both from the international and then local angle. And you see that both ways the election was actually observed. Local observers, many of whom I know, were of the view that the election did not meet standard, their own expectation at the local level. Then international observers, including media practitioners, don't forget that we have a BBC report condemning the election, saying that in places like River State and some other places, the persons declared winner, in this case the APC, and then their candidates may not have actually won. Then a local investigative journalism carried out here by Premium Times also said the same thing, even before the BBC. So that points to something. And then again, the fact that we had, I think about 18,000 results or so, carrying over 1 million or 2 million votes that were blocked, it also speaks to something that they, after months of this election, the results have not totally uploaded to the beavers. It's also an indictment on INEC, which promised to do what? To upload results and for Nigerians to do what? To view in real time. So it's a serious indictment. And then I think perhaps, who knows, the last may not have been heard concerning this election. And then nobody, in fact, even the APC itself knows that it is not home and dry. And that is why if you look at the camp, you will also see that tinge of being unsettled. But then I think there is something we also have to draw out of this. I had expected President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to be bold enough. 2 days ago, he was at the Guinea-Bissau, where the ECOWAS made him chairman, yes, of the authority of the heads of government and state of the community. But he said something about democracy. He said democracy. In fact, he said enough of the coups happening in West Africa, because if you know Burkina Faso, Mali, and the rest of it, there had been coups. You understand? Yeah, he said that democracy is the best form of government. Now you begin to ask yourself, was the process that brought him democratic enough? You understand? Not that Tinubu couldn't have won the election. We have actually established here that Tinubu was also a potential candidate, but the process that brought him there was actually questionable. And that was why I said the other day that if you draw the comparison between him and Omar Musa Yar'Adua, you will see what you call magnanimity in victory. You understand?
Yeah.
Oman was saying that won that election. I went to the G8 platform. They were waiting for him. You understand? They're not asking me a question saying, "How do you? What do you consider to be your biggest challenge as a president?" He said, "Election. That the election that brought him to office was flawed." And then he said, "Electoral reforms are the major head. He's made up problems for which he inaugurated the UAS committee." You understand? So I think Bola Ahmed Tinubu was actually being, in fact, he was in a celebratory mood the last time he addressed this nation on democracy day, saying that those who did not welcome the result should not celebrate when it gets to their turn. And that, to me, he was being self-congratulatory. So I think the courts will decide, and we are not here to preempt the court.
Yes, and in his opening speech as the chairman of the ECOWAS, he also mentioned security and also assured that both the ECOWAS president that there will be nothing like coup again in Nigeria or military takeover, because that is to say that democracy has come to stay. Just like you rightly pointed out, the system or the process that brought him to power, was it democratically okay? Or does it tend to correct it right while there? That is one too. Now, talking about the celebration of, even when the result of the court is not yet out, they've not given their verdict, and then Abure is now asking members of their party, said about 10 million of them scattered all over, to get ready because they will be ready. They don't want to be taken unawares. Then, how possible is it? Now they say he that pays the piper dictates the tune.
Yes.
How possible is it that the justices will have in these courts, he will not want to dance to the tune of the sitting president?
Thank you very much. You've actually taken me where exactly I wanted to go. Yesterday, Afib Malola, a legal practitioner, the owner of the university in Ekiti State, I think 2 days ago or yesterday, he made a speech where he urged that there be reforms. And he said Nigeria is not a nation. Nigeria is, in fact, an entity made up of many nations. Now he called for one thing. He said he was calling for a reform in the electoral process where the justices that will sit to determine court cases following election should not be people appointed by either the chief justice of the federation or those who are affiliated with the court. It should be neutral persons, and I think that should be upheld. Now, if talking about the possibility of justice being served, you see, they said he who must come to equity must come with clean hands. I'm sorry to say this. I'm not here to preempt or to take sides. Understand? The fact remains that I saw the defense of the APC. To me, it was not satisfactory enough that one of the witnesses they brought, who was laid in evidence by their counsel, he admitted that there was issue of narcotics dealing and the rest of them. So to me, I wouldn't know whether that does damage, you understand, or not to their case and their chances. So what Labour Party is doing now is to remind its supporters across the federation that there is likelihood that we may go to the polls again. Don't give up, you understand? Be ready so that when it happens, we may not need much campaign again. We may not need to start hitting the streets, and then we are now telling you that there is possibility of this happening, which we cannot say is guaranteed or is fixed until the courts rule. And mind you, the courts can, in its wisdom, declare Tinubu the winner too, based on facts available before it, because it has to be evident, you understand? Because he who asserts must prove.
Now, talking about the court declaring Tinubu, and then what do you think will happen to the EU reports and some other reports that the Nigerians are expecting?
Yes, you see, that is the beauty of it all. And I was a bit taken aback when Tinubu's team responded to that EU report. And I was wanting to know whether they have read the report. Now, the opening 2 sentences of the report was actually damning. If I had my materials here, I would have actually read it for our guests, our viewers to hear or listen to. They say that INEC damaged public confidence and that it reflected further in the governorship election. And that going forward, there is every need to do what? Make sure that the appointment of INEC chair is done in a neutral manner. 2, that they said everything carried or covered by the US reports. They said those things, which we have been talking about here in this station, in this platform. Now, the whole truth remains that when we talk about 2023 election, that to the best of my knowledge, certain things happened that marked that process. And if you are talking about election where people were profiled, whether you are from Igbo or not, people came out to say, don't come out to vote, stay in your house. So where are we headed? So if we talk about democracy, democracy is inclusion, and inclusion means that both minority and majority must play, and that if the majority will have a way, the minority should have a say. That's the beauty of democracy. But in this instance now, many communities, many persons were excluded. You understand? Even the EU report also alleged that women were also excluded from the process. It also alleged that even the youth, it talked about many things and gave us over 20 recommendations. So ours should be to focus on those recommendations and not to counter the EU, who had actually invested 39 million euros in this election. Yes, so they are stakeholders, and in fact, they are the biggest investor, foreign investor, as far as this election was actually concerned. They have to train INEC in terms of power building. Then they also train even some journalists, some volunteers who became their observers. So when they tell you this report, they have their facts. And I do not think in democracy you are so celebratory that you celebrate individually. If you remember in 1979, Shehu Shagari, after the controversial 2/3 majority, which is also likely to repeat again. Now listen, Shehu Shagari called for government of national unity. And don't forget that there is a scenario playing out now. People believe that when Awolowo ran for president, you understand, and lost, Justice Shorimo was the Supreme Court justice then. Do you know what happened? He said his hands were tied. So people are saying, who knows whether the hands of the incumbent CJN could be tied, you understand? Because people believe that having come from the same ethnic extraction or from the same place or part of the country with the president, that there is likelihood that the mandate is not going to be upturned or it's not going to be reversed. But we wait.
All right, a lot of people also not, a lot of people say they lack confidence in this current legal struggle that is going on, because amongst the five non-justices, there is no Igbo person, it's just Yoruba and Hausas.
Yeah.
And while one of the biggest contenders, according to Aburi, said they have turned the politics of Nigeria around for better, and just in 9 months, according to him. So now, with what is being said, remember you have the PDP, who is second position, even before before Obi. And then, assuming anything happens, if it is not a rerun, is it possible for Obi to be declared winner?
That's why I said it depends on the case. You understand? Their ability to present their case, their prayers, their supplications, what they are saying, their evidences tendered before the court. You understand? And that is why people are also talking about repeats of election. Even Abu himself said that their prayers before the court were to do what? To declare Peter Obi the winner.
Yes.
You understand? Now, don't also forget that the Supreme Court had actually declared someone who was placed fourth in Imo State winner of the governors. Yes, of the governorship election. Now we must also understand this. The reason why why there is this confidence gap, you understand, in terms of the public confidence in the institution of the judiciary, are they before us? We all know that Senator Godswill Akpabio, the Senate President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, did not participate in APC primaries, senatorial primaries. We also know, we are aware, we are privy to the fact that Ahmed Lawan, the former Senate President, did not also participate. These two men were on the ballot, trying to slug it out with Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And there was never anything like placeholder as they tried to come up with. Even when INEC said there shouldn't be anything of sort, it was not contemplated in our laws. When Labour Party, PDP, and and the APC each had placeholders for the post of vice president. Now listen, there was never any agreement of sort, but I don't know how it happened. The other day, former governor of Imo State wrote as a was actually talking about it in a jocular way. He was talking to Ahmed Lawan. I do not know how it happened that the courts, in its wisdom, now ruled that these persons are supposed to be in the 10th Assembly. And in fact, one of them is now leading the 10th Assembly. So that is one of the, in fact, if you have listened to the interview Ahmed that he granted with CNN, he said he does not have confidence in the judiciary. And the judiciary must do the needful to make sure that justice is served and must be seen to have been served. Even if Tinubu is winning, let it be that the evidences are overwhelming, that all those things tendered against him, that his counsel and his team were able to substantially prove to the contrary. You understand?
Yeah. All right. Talking about the EU report, you
yes.
remember that they also mentioned two major players in APC who they said have not helped in any way, to ensure, the smooth running of democracy and the treatment of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. FFK was one of them, and so on. And then I'm sure that the court is aware of this. Like the problem we are having in Lagos now between the Igbos and
their hosts, the
Yorubas, the owners of the land. The problem is as a result of one of the, I think, FFK ignited it through his Twitter, Twitter handle and so on. In situations like this, and since a body like EU have been able to observe that, and yet he has continued to talk. Remember, he's one of them who are even blaming EU for this and saying that they're not fit. But the most surprising thing is that one of the chieftains who was in PDP but supported APC this morning, he said he's not regretting supporting APC, also admonished that nobody should talk against EU or work against the report of EU.
Yes, you see, it was a shameful thing that some persons, I do not know whether they were rented, as some sources say, went to protest before the EU for their own report. When they give you millions of euros, you accept. You say you are going to build your institutions. They also help to train you, and they also carry out a lot of things, train the trainer, seminars and what have you. And then you go to polls and you make mess of the whole thing. You now begin to talk about bleach, and you are trying to also uphold that. It speaks to something. And I want to say this, you see, it is unfortunate that even the one you are talking about, Femi Fanekawebe, his name is also being touted as those being shortlisted for the ministerial nomination. That is, by the way, it tells you that if that is true, that Tinubu's government is not, doesn't even mean business. And I will explain to you that people like Wike and the rest of them in fact, are on the list. But that's anyway aside, because it's not been proven. But I want to say this, you see, what we are expecting Tinubu to do is to bring the best hands. When he won election in 1999, Obasanjo sought the best hands. We had the likes of Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Obiase Kwesili, the late Dora Akunyele. Yes, Olusegun Aganga was actually there during the time of Sheikh Musa Yar'Adua. Many persons who were there, Frank Weke Jr., Chukwemeka Chike, they were experts in the game. And we saw where it took us to, that we had debt cancellation and debt reprieve. You understand? Now, see the role FFK and others play, including Festus Keyamo, who I used to admire and respect a lot, who was saying that EU was supposed to observe the election, not to investigate. You see, that's indicting itself for a council who is known to be a learned man like him. You understand? Say why wouldn't they investigate something they have invested in? Now, if you had followed the peace accord, you see, at a point, the peace committee released a report. Do you know what they said? That Festus Keyamo, that Femi Fani-Kayode was also breaching the peace. Yes. I'm talking about the peace committee. Yeah. In their report, they mentioned the same character. They mentioned him. They mentioned the Twitter handheld one naivety they mentioned them. There were 3 persons they also mentioned. 2 of them were working for APC, and then it speaks to something that these persons did not want this election to go to plan, and that to an extent they contributed to the ethnic profiling, chauvinism, killings, including incendiary attacks at marketplaces we saw after the election. So it's as clear as day, because we here analyzed Kayode's speech or his tweet, that such things could actually incite violence. And then remember that during the election, he was also told to report every day to DSS facility. Somebody who was reporting to DSS facility was also tweeting something insightful, and the same day DSS did nothing. Now try to see the case of a young girl like Mmesoma, where the DSS was actually brought to grill and the question that girl. The DSS came and we are carrying out investigation in a matter like that when nothing has been concluded. I am not here to defend Mmesoma. We have actually said apology should be rendered where necessary. Now try to situate it. You see how we treat, how justice is selective, and that is also the same reason people are saying they do not believe in justice administration of the current dispensation. So if at all we are desirous of achieving justice, people like FFK should be answering questions for the role they play to undermine democracy in the election.
All right, we are going to go on a very short break. Remember, democracy, they say the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Some other persons have defined it as government of the few by some hooligans and psychopaths, and also for few of them. Is this left for you? We are talking about democracy. We are also talking about the statement made by the national chairman of Labour Party. We'll be back shortly. Don't go away.
Admission is ongoing at Living TV Film Academy, Aba, Abia State, for candidates wishing to study filmmaking and mass communication for skill certificate training and degree programs, including mandatory NYSC post-degree service. Courses offered are Department of Journalism and Media Studies, Broadcast Journalism, TV Presentation, Photojournalism, Department of Film and Multimedia Studies, Cinematography, Acting, Video Editing, Film Production, Website Designing, Modeling and Makeup, Bead Making, Screenwriting, Theatre Arts, Department of Broadcasting, Script Writing, Journalism, Reporting, Software Programming, Mobile and Web App Development, Audio Production, Graphic Designing, Digital Animation, Special Effects, Social Media Management. Entry qualifications: candidates must possess 5 credits in WASICAM GCE, NAPTEB or equivalent. We have the following technical infrastructure for students' skills acquisition: an art theatre well equipped for modern digital television and radio studios open for hire to the public, an audio suite for music production, soundtracks, sound effects, jingles and voice-over, etc. A 50 feet by 40 feet chroma studio, largest in Africa for special effects, world-class rendering facilities for post-production rendering, animation and cartoon technology, assorted professional cameras, drones, etc. A film village with epic and village houses for theatre arts and epic films making. Our studies are skill-oriented with well-qualified academic and technical teachers. We also admit students on industrial training and internship from other institutions. Professional license will be issued to graduates to practice as professionals by Bollywood, a registered professional organization for filmmakers. Wow! What are you waiting for? Rush now and obtain our admission form with 2,000 naira only at our main campus, number 1 Judges Road, 5th floor, former UBA House by NEPA, Waterside Descent, Aba, Abia State, Nigeria, or visit our website, livingradio.com.ng, the Academy, www.livingtvfilmacademy.com, email livingtvfilmacademy@gmail.com, or call 0805 367 3900 or 0816 641 1400. Signed, Registrar.
Nigerians, I'm happy you're still there. I am so glad that you're still there watching your favorite program on television, Living TV, and issues of the moment this hour. Right, moving forward, having done what we are talking about, the chairman also stated that if the worst comes or if the worst happens, that they are not expecting any form of nullification or rerun, that they are believing for an outline declaration of Peter Obi as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That anything less than the declaration of Peter Obi as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that they may not take it. But notwithstanding that they are ready, and they have to inform their members and ensure that they are ready, assuming it gets to rerun. But what they're expecting is declaration of Mr. Peter Obi. They said they have all the facts, and then with evidence before them, that they are so convinced that Peter Obi won this election. That question still remains. Why Atiku is seen as the second person? Is it possible to jump the queue?
That's what the court will determine in its wisdom. But I think nothing is impossible in Nigeria any longer. Yes, people have come out in the past and the present to define Nigeria as a theater of the absurd. And then I have this to say: you see, do not joke with what the Labour Party chairman could be saying, although it may not pan out the way the party is anticipating. The party may be anticipating a favorable judgment, but the court may hand down a different judgment entirely to the favor of APC or even the PDP, not the party now. Or could say, let there be a rerun, in which case it may affect the person of the president. You also have to look at it. If the courts in its wisdom rule that the election was mad and fraught with irregularities, will the president continue to enjoy that office during the pendency or during the time the election is expected to be held? You understand? So that is also going to be a test of our constitution. But don't forget that the APC has a legal team, and the team briefs even the chairman and then executive members of the party, say this is the progress we are seeing. And then also they have analysts, even legal and political analysts, as we are doing here in this studio. They may have studied everything. You understand? They may have studied even the defense of the Labour Party or of the APC. You understand? And then they won by Tinubu because there were 3 persons, you understand, or 3 entities being sued: Tinubu, APC, and INEC. They may have studied the prayers and then the defense entered by these 3 respondents, and they have studied the possibility, understand, everything about, even the technicality of everything about this case, and they are now coming up with this. It may be their position and it is respectable or it is respected, but that doesn't mean it will go to their plan. But like I said, they have a legal team that may be briefing them. There is every possibility of a rerun, if not an outright declaration of Peter Obi as the winner of the 2023 presidential election.
As at 2nd of July this year, just about a week or so, yes, or thereabout, there was a report that is about 5-6 weeks thereabout after the election, that the INEC has not concluded the uploading of all these electoral results. And if this is true, how do you think the judge will go about this matter?
That, you see everything happening, even the EU reports, understand? Even the EU report, all the things happening, they are before the court, and the courts have actually contemplated these things. They are aware of such things. Now, not that 5 weeks after or 5 days after election, I'm talking about as at today, that not although the results had been uploaded to the so-called beavers, that they are still uploading gradually, and that in most cases, you saw what was uploaded, or you saw those things that were uploaded. Some of them were not even results. Some of them were pictures of persons. Some of them were pictures of exercise book. Some of them were, in fact, a lot of things. I was wondering, why would people make mess of our process like this? The world is watching. The beavers we are talking about is not only relative, it's not only peculiar, it's not only INEC that will have access to it. If you use your phone, I'm not even saying a laptop now, you can actually access and see the beavers. So it is what it is. The court is seeing all these things, all the evidence is being tendered, and they are seeing the developments as they are coming. Whether you're talking about EU reports, whether you're talking about the fact that aftermath of the election bettered a legitimacy problem and tussle, that world leaders, not all the world leaders, as they would always do, extended congratulations to Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The former president of Liberia, Ellection Johnson, congratulated her, later deleted her own tweet. You understand? They waited for Biden to congratulate him based on president to president level. It did not happen. You understand? Only British Prime Minister, which is Sunak, came out to say they were looking to partnering with Nigeria in strategic areas where they have interest and what have you. That said again, we are seated here now. We do not know what the reports of some of these embassies, in fact, all these missions will say until the tender sent to INEC. Mind you, the EU reports, INEC was also giving a copy. A copy was also presented to the chairman. So it means that the union was fearless, bold, and then direct when it came to that report. For them to tender that report and give it to the chairman. So it is what it is.
All right. The chairman also said that he said clearly that they have put all their evidence before the court and that they are very hopeful that the tribunal will act on their favor. Almost what the PDP are saying.
Yes.
Too. So I think that is why they believe that it must end at being having a rerun at the end of the day. All right. Away from that, the chairman of the party, Abure, all right, and so on, and the members of the Labour Party are seriously talking about the enthronement of P2B as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And then, do we assume even what Abure has said, do we assume that as preempting the court, or do you think there are practical evidence before them?
Yes,
that is so overwhelming.
Yes, I've said he even said that the evidences are overwhelming, and they are not something you present before the court, and the court said they are not admissible. Yes, he said that. But I did say also that they have a legal team that will be briefing them. That may even be interfacing with their counsel, or who knows, perhaps their counsel briefs them directly, or their lawyers brief them directly, as the case may be. But all things being said, we must not also forget the fact, and I have said it before, that the court can still say Tinubu won the election. Yes, if you also look at the case of the PDP, you see that they have strong valid points and positions they are presenting to, that Atiku won the election but was actually rigged out. They have actually amplified the problems where it affected their chances. They have talked about some states where they believe they were rigged. And then, if you also remember very well, I see that the Labour Party is also contesting even Lagos State, saying that the actual vote of Peter Obi was up to 800,000. And the PDP corroborated that when they also made their own case. PDP said in Lagos State, Labour had up to 800,000 votes, and Tinubu had less than the number of votes given awarded to him. Now you come to Rivers State, you see that I am not the one establishing these things. These are facts. Journalists, independent investigation, even media practitioners, and then international media houses like the BBC have actually come to say that somebody like Governor Yeso Wike, who is also being touted to be a minister today, whether or not that is true, played a role that facilitated and ensured the victory of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And in a greater interview where he said that he was happy that in all the G5 states, Atiku did not win. And after that, we also heard that there was also one or two things he did to make sure that he will stop his former ally, the former governor of Sokoto State, and the former member of House of Reps from being made the minority leader in the Senate. One person, the former governor of
Sokoto State.
Yes.
All right, let us look at this, and I also want you to either agree and explain if it's actually true, because Mr. Abure, the national chairman of Labour Party, said in 9 months they've been able to change the political narratives, the political narratives of the country.
Yes.
And that they must build on that success so that they can have a more formidable party.
Yes.
Do you think this is true?
Yes, I would say that they were able not to change the political narrative, they changed the political landscape, especially as it have to do with campaign.
Okay.
Yes, that their campaign had substance and were people led. You understand? Not establishment led or not pro-establishment. You understand? Their campaign was carried out by volunteers, and that was also replicated. You understand? In other political parties, they also had their volunteers. But if you look at the wave that was obedient, at some point also it also included cancel culture, where people like the Nobel laureates and the rest of them were actually being cancelled for the position or the views they may have held. But if you look at it, you see that I was in Abuja. Let me tell you this right now. I was in Abuja shortly before that election, and I was at a barber shop. So the barber, I opened up a conversation with him, a young man from Benue State. I said, Oga, are you going to vote? He said, yes, he will vote. I asked him, so you are going to vote? He said, he mentioned the name of the candidates, and he said he contributed 12,000 naira to the rally, and that candidate was the Labour Party candidate. He said he contributed from his personal money 12,000. So
barber.
People, yes, a barber. You can imagine that contributed. It could be a week saving. You understand? It could be the savings of a week that he contributed to that very project. So you see that Peter Obi did not even do much in terms of campaigning. People covered ground for him before he would go anywhere. In fact, even the jets he used were actually donated. People carried out. In fact, even one of the military persons who do is regretting, you understand, investing over 5 million in the campaign, came out and nobody forced them. There was also an attempt to stop oversee the donation because it was not actually enshrined in our laws. There were also arrangements being made by Nigerians in diaspora to put in money into the project. So for that, we saw a campaign that tried to focus more on issue than diversionary issues.
All right, but before we go, the national chairman also said, and I think maybe that is one of the reasons why it looks as if Labour Party is standing aloof of other political parties, when he said that they are strategically positioned for the downtrodden people in Nigeria. And you know, politics in Nigeria over the bourgeois, big men. You can imagine what happened recently, proposing a salary increment of about 114%
increase,
to politicians. While there are a lot of people who cannot take a square meal there. And then do you think this is one of the major reasons why it looks as if Labour Party is strategically positioned? Because even down here in the state, those of them who never campaigned, just because of the name of P2P,
there was that obedient wave, the movement, and it was strategic. And if you look at the caliber of persons who won election, it speaks to the fact that Labour Party was for the common person. We're talking about a party that was able to produce the first female legislator from FCT. You understand? One, that's from the minority, mind you. Not minority in terms of number, but people who we always exclude. We don't give them majority of the seats. Being in this case the women. Then again, somebody who it was said was into transportation, with in fact a commercial motorist, won election to the federal house. A teacher, a secondary school teacher who was teaching in the private school, also won election into the federal house. Now come back to the state level. You see that places like Abuja State and elsewhere, people ordinarily who were not of the establishment, who nobody would have given chance of being elected either into the House of Assembly or anywhere, got elected. So it was just that. And anywhere you have the the Labour Party. That should be the symbol for the working man. You understand? For the working class, to enthrone the laborers, people who are suffering, the people who are ensuring that there is production. You understand? That the nation enjoys productivity and then output and GDP, not the consumers, not the political bourgeois who do not even have. Ojuku will say they don't have a second address.
All right, wonderful viewers, that's the march we are going to thank for today, and I'm glad you've been there watching your darling station. Before we go, comrade, just your parting word.
Thank you so much. I think what the Labour Party chairman has said is not final. He's not the court, and he's not even the final court of arbiter in this matter. You understand? The court will rule. They have actually tendered their evidence and then brought in their witnesses. All things being equal, we are waiting to hear from the court. But a sad thing is that people will want the EU to invest in the electoral process, but will not want the EU to have a say.
To find out.
Yes, it is unfortunate to even investigate. You don't give somebody money without wanting to know how they are faring with the money you've given them. In this case, a matter and a business as serious as campaign and election. So it's unfortunate. I think we have to do more.
All right, wonderful viewers, that's the march we are taking today. And on behalf of my guest, Comrade Nnamdi Lekwachi, and on behalf of this studio manager, our crew, Comrade, we say thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
And this is your command, Chinedum Adele. Remember to keep a day with us tomorrow. We will be giving you Nigeria Today. That's another current affairs program where we look at all sorts of headings and headlines from our national dailies and so on. So it will come on by tomorrow by exactly 11:30. Keep a date with us and keep you watching other programs of Living Television. Don't get away. Bye for now.